Hey, it's MK, and I am here with a Stretch the Sketch layout for you guys today. And this is the sketch that I will be stretching by Laura Whitaker. I also am playing along with Off the Board, and I picked a color palette to play with, and I hope I matched it okay enough, but that was my plan. So I've got these 5 photos that I would like to stretch across a 2-page layout. I did not have enough of the same print for matting my photos, so I'm just going to make it up as I go along. I also have these leftover strips from a Close to My Heart, I believe it was called Urban collection. Even though the yellow matched really well, I think I'm going to use the tin roof look. I also have this wood veneer from Some Assemblage Required, and then a couple chipboard pieces from the Wherever collection by 49 and Market, as well as a rub-on piece. It's my last rub-on piece for this collection, and then a bunch of the laser cut out pieces. So I've got leaves and a tag and these binoculars and then this journal strip. So I'm also going to be using this awesome brick pebble stencil by Pear Tree Cut Files. And then I'm going to use, I believe, Gathered Twigs is the ink that I'm going to be using for that. I pulled out some washi tape as well, but I don't know if it actually ends up on the layout. And then for my pattern paper that I thought was a good match to my color palette is the Wherever Trek paper, again by 49 and Market. And then I pulled out some, I want to say it's either charcoal, I think this is charcoal, cardstock from Close to My Heart, and it is double-sided, so you got a light side and a dark side, and I'll be playing with the lighter side for all of my stenciling. So the first thing I'm going to do is all of my stenciling. Just because this cardstock was pretty plain. When it comes to neutrals, I do not have a lot of leftover neutrals. That is one thing that I struggle keeping in my stash is neutrals. I love them so much that they're the first things that I use out of every collection or anything. So for my stencil, I'm going to just randomly ink through the stencil. I'm going to turn it so that way it doesn't look the same throughout the entire background, and just just go for it and leave a bunch of blank spots and and some filled in spots based off of the stenciling. This is where my craft mat with that magnetic base definitely comes through, because I'm using these little, I think they're called pawn magnets that came from theglassstudio.com as well. But I'm using that to help hold not only my papers together so the stencil lines up, but I'm also using it to hold my stencil down so that way I don't have to worry about shifting or anything like that. So I also went ahead and smushed some of that ink over on the side, wet it up, and then splattered some little ink splots. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges up. You guys, I really like how this turned out, and I feel like it's a good filler, so that way I can go ahead and keep all of my pages down, or photos down at the bottom. I'm also going to go ahead and use this Bronze Baby by Shimmers, just to add a little bit more splatter and a little bit of sparkle too, but it's not going to be so much that it's in your face. So I have these 5 photos. I almost said 7. I have these 5 photos, and I went ahead and I matted them and everything. I trimmed them out, matted them off camera, because everybody knows how to do that. Everybody has seen that done. It's very boring in my opinion. But they are of us at La Junta Reservoir, and while my other kids were metal detecting with Grandpa, my other 2 decided to climb over these rocks to go fishing on the other side instead of where we were metal detecting. And so I decided to follow them and just, kind of check them out and see where they were venturing off to, because once they were on the other side of the rocks, and if I was to have stayed with the other kids, I would not have been able to see them, visually. So I stayed up on the rocks and I took pictures of both sides. Like I could see them all from both sides. but it just was really cool. It was really super cold, and we were hoping that the kids would at least catch something. But I'm not really sure what kind of fish are in the reservoir. I think their grandpa was telling them, but in all honesty, I'm not really sure. So for this wood veneer piece, I went ahead and I unmasked it. So when I showed it to you previously, it was masked, and I unmasked it, and it is this gorgeous red oak color, red oak. And it has these beautiful lines going through it. And I decided that the open images needed to be colored in and add a little bit of color. So I picked a red that wasn't too bright and primary, and hoping that when it dries on the the wood, that it's not too bad. And I'm going to go ahead and color in the bobber. And I already colored in the hooks. Just because of the fact that I really had to get in there and look at it, because the tip was so big that I had to have my face super close. So I didn't record that. It was just the top of my head, to be honest. But I shared with you guys how I colored in the bobber, and I really do like having all of my wood pieces colored in and have that little vibrance of color on top of the engraving and the wood grain and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pages down, or put my rips down. I decided to rip everything instead of keep everything at a very linear angle. I really do like, I like how it ends up, because it reminds me of the rocks that the kids are climbing on. I do end up using 3 of these, 2 and like a nothing from another strip of these papers, because I'm going at an angle. You never have all of that paper that you need when you are going at a slight angle. So I am using that same Gathered Twigs ink to ink up my pattern papers. I already had the tin roof paper pattern inked up from a previous project. I don't even know what ink I used on it, but I did have that already inked up and ready to go. So I just felt like the ripples or the rips of my other paper needed to be inked as well. So for this one here, I'm going to go ahead and guess where I need to ink. So that's why I'm putting a lot of tape down, because I don't know where it's at and I didn't want to cut it down. I did not ink it. I forgot to do the inking process. So I'm going to do that off camera because I do end up like bowing out my paper and all that stuff and tipping it back and whatnot. And I'm grateful that I did not glue all the way to the edge while, because I'm going to be tucking in my photos. So it allowed me to get that sponge dauber in there and ink it up. So I'm kind of glad for the things that I do and the way that I do them, because yeah, it definitely looked weird not inked, so it needed to be inked. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put all my photos down. One of the photos has my feet on the rocks while I'm watching my kids on one side, and then I've got pictures of my kids doing the metal detecting on the other side. But I've already scrapbooked the metal detecting layouts. I just haven't gotten around to the fishing layouts. I try to spread out my fishing layouts because I love doing them so much that I really just want to scrapbook all of them all in a row. But then I kind of feel saddened because I don't have the fishing layouts to play with anymore, so I try to spread them out throughout a year or 2 years or something like that, just so that way I can always go back to, I'm in the mood of doing a fishing layout. I'm always in the mood to do a fishing layout or a camping layout or a hiking layout or something like that. I'm always in the mood to do those layouts, but they're few and far between the older our kids get. So it's one of those things that, we're figuring out is that, as adults, we don't go and do this unless we, have our kids with us. And so, my husband and I my husband and I were just discussing this over the 4th of July weekend that, we just need to go camping, whether the kids are available or not. They know how to take care of the house and all that stuff. We just need to go. you know, and we had it all planned out and everything, but my husband got sick at the end of 4th of July. So we just ended up staying home, and we'll do it eventually. We'll get out there before summer's over. We will. All right. So I took this, this braided thread, and I absolutely love this. My favorite thing to do with this braided thread is to spread it out. And then I went ahead and put it on some tear and tape so that way I could create another border, but I didn't want it to go all the way across, like from edge to edge. I just wanted it to be there. I already did my rub-on because I wasn't sure if my rub-on was going to go on top of this braided thread. So I decided to go ahead and put my rub-on down. And then I figured with everything else that I'm going to put over the braid, I don't think that the rub-on was going to be too much of a distraction that it's underneath. I'm going to go ahead and peel the adhesive backing off of my wood veneer and apply it to the layout. I love this wood veneer, you guys. I really do. It was my favorite part of June's release. It really was. All right. And so the left page is done. I'm going to go ahead and work on the right page. And I did the exact same thing with the braided thread, is put it on some tear and tape while it was spread open. Now it comes really super thin, as like an 1/8 inch or even smaller, ribbon is what it looks like. And then when you bunch it up like that, it widens out and just creates this really cool braid look. And I do love using it on water layouts, outdoor layouts, and even home layouts, because it gives you that farmhouse feel when it's in its shrunken form. So anyways, going to go ahead and finish up with the Wander title. And then I decided to move my journaling above the 2 photos, and I'm going to add this little bit of greenery. I'm going to actually spread it across both sides. At first I had it tucked in on the edge, so that way it kind of finished off with the 3, with the 3 cards going across. But I decided no, I didn't like that. And after I started putting my greenery around it, I really do like it on top of my photos. So I'm glad that I changed my marbles there. I'm going to use some foam dots behind my greenery and pop it up just a little bit to give it a little bit of dimension. Really the only dimension that is on this layout is the wood veneer and the chipboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit. I did do my journaling. I misspelled the word reservoir. And most of the time that's because my brain thinks faster than my hand does. So I missed the E, but it is what it is, right? They'll get it. But I didn't spell it wrong over on this side, which is weird because I wrote this first and then wrote the tag later, and messed up on the tag. So anyways, that is my layout. Oh, I like how you can see the bronze baby over in the photos. That turned out really great. I wasn't sure if you guys were going to be able to see it or not. So anyways, I want to thank you all so very much for stopping by today and checking to see what I was creating. I also want to let you guys know that I have a few links down below. I have links for the Stretch the Sketch. It's a playlist now instead of a long list. So I've got the Stretch the Sketch playlist. I've got Off the Board playlist. And that's all that I have for you guys today. All right. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, truly appreciate it. And I will check y'all later. Bye.